Hello everybody, welcome back to another Bee Swarm Simulator video. In today's video, I am going to be going over the White Hive tips and tricks, along as the bees you need in a White Hive. So let's get started. Okay guys, so let's start off with the bees that you would need in a White Hive. Basic bee, you only want to keep one of, because it does give that gifted hive bonus of 1.2 times pollen, and that is really good. Bomber bee, I did not keep one because it gives 15% bomb pollen, but Fuzzy bee nor Vector bee benefits from it, so I did not keep a Bomber bee. Brave bee, I would keep a Brave bee, especially if you are running a Gummy Saw, which I would recommend because Solo Gum or Solo Saw wouldn't perform nearly as well as a Gummy Saw. So anyways, you would want to keep a Brave bee because of its bee attack. I would buff the Star Saw if you have it, and make it a lot more viable. Bumble and Cool bee, those are both blue bees, so you would not be wanting those in a White Hive. Hasty bee, it's more optional. It does give that extra player move speed, and also it is a gifted colorless, so it will buff your Gummy Star, but if you have enough speed tokens and if you don't feel like you need it, you don't have to keep it, but I just kept it because I am running low on speed tokens. Looker bee, I would definitely keep this in every single hive. The critical power is super important. On top of that, again, it does buff the Gummy Star. Rad and Rascal, they both are red bees, so of course you would not be needing them in the Wet Hive. So now, Stubborn Bee, I would usually keep this because Vector tokens do disappear super fast, and the ability token lifespan does help it a lot, and on top of that, it does have Pollen Mark as the ability, and it does buff the Gummy Star if you have it gifted, so I would probably keep a Stubborn Bee in your Wet Hive. So Bubble and Bucko, again, they are both blue bees, so you would not be needing them. Commander bee, this is very crucial in every single hive because critical chance really helps overall. So definitely keep a commander bee in your hive. Demo bee, as I said before with the bomber bee, the bomb pollen doesn't really affect Fuzzy or Vector that much, and Fuzzy and Vector are the main sources of honey and pollen that you are going to be receiving from the White Hive. So this is why I did not keep my Demo bee. Exhausted bee, so I kept an exhausted bee because the buzz bomb pollen does actually affect the fuzzy bee bombs, so I did keep an exhausted bee, so fuzzies collect more. Fire and frosty bees are both red and blue, so I would not be keeping those in a White Hive. Honeybee, you would only need one of these, and I would have it gifted because if you do have it gifted, it would give an extra 50% honey from tokens, and this does apply to the Gummy Star, and when it pops, it does drop a ton of honey tokens, so Honeybee would buff that, and that would be very helpful. Rage Bee, it's a bee attack buff, so it's mainly optional, but if you are running a Gummy Saw, I would definitely keep it because it does give a lot more conversion when the saw is active during a boost. Riley Bee is just a red bee, so I wouldn't keep it. Shock Bee, it gives extra 25% white pollen, which is very helpful, so I'd keep one. Baby Bee, it gives baby love, and the loot luck is really nice. Along with that, it is colorless, so I would keep a baby bee in your White Hive. Now, moving on, next is Carpenter Bee, so this is where things get interesting. Carpenter Bee is very important in a White Hive because it does give honey mark, but I have seen White Hives that only have one, so there are certain hives that have, let's say, 20 to 25 Vector Bees and just one Carpenter, and this would work for them because they don't need those extra marks because they have 20 Vectors helping them with them already, but I wouldn't recommend that type of hive because Vectors do not spawn in honey marks, and honey marks are super important if you want to stay in a field longer because it gives a lot of conversion links while you're boosting. So personally, in a normal typical White Hive, I would keep about 4 to 6 Carpenter Bees, and in my hive, I decided to keep 5. Moving on, Demon Bee is a red bee, and it isn't very good in general, so I want to keep that. Diamond Bee gives convert rate, and if you are running a Gummy Saw, which again, I highly recommend, you will not be needing Diamond Bee because you won't be converting at your hive. Star Saw is super broken, and you can stay in the field if you have it running most of the time. Lion Bee, I would keep one of these because it does give 2 colorless bee attack, and 80% of your hive is going to be colorless bees, so it will really help with buffing your star saw and how much it converts. Music bee, in every hive you want about 3 of them, so in this white hive, of course, you want about 3 gifted music bees. Now ninja bee. This is a very big debate that's up in the air right now. As for white hives, I usually would keep it because 5% bee movement speed seems like 5% bar, which is bee ability rate, and 5% extra damage because the bees move faster when you're attacking. So personally, I would keep it. Bee movement speed seems super good, and I'm not sure why some people don't want it, but I would recommend keeping it. Now we are moving on to the mythic bees. So first off, fuzzy bee. I'd keep at least 1, and I would recommend at least 4 to 6. And the only time you'd want to keep 1 is when you're running 20 to 25 vector bees, because at that point the vector bees can really make up from the collection loss when you don't have enough fuzzies. But in a normal white hive, I'd say keep about 4 or 6 of these. Spicy bee. I've seen a lot of opinions on spicy bees in white hives, and I'd honestly say you might want to keep one, especially if you are running a gummy saw, because the rage does stack really well with the rage bee, and on top of that, inferno and flame fuel give flame heat, and when that happens, your bee attack gets buffed, so when that is activated, then your star saw can convert a lot more than it would originally. Next, tadpole bee. I'd personally keep about 2 to 3 of these, and from personal experience, you'd want at least 4 sources of baby love, so 1 being from the baby bee, and 3 more from the tadpoles. So 2 does work pretty well, but I'd keep 3 just in case you do have those situations where your RNG from the baby love isn't as good. Now, vector bees. These are the main source of honey and pollen in a white hive, and I'd keep at least 12 of them, and anything more is good, and definitely don't have anything more than 25. And I mean, vector bees are really good, and you have to make sure they are gifted, because the mark surge makes sure that all the marks, no matter if they're from carpenter, vector bees, or from any other bee, they make sure that the marks stay up a lot longer, which means you can stack them really well. So if you do get vector bees, I try to make them all gifted, and it really makes a big difference. Now, all the event bees. I'd basically just keep all the event bees and just exclude crimson and cobalt because of the red and blue, and of course you don't need that in a white hive. And just make sure you definitely have that windy bee, because windy bee really buffs white a lot, and especially if you have it gifted, it does give instant white conversion, which is super helpful. So those are all the bees in a white hive, and now we can move on to the other stuff. So guys, for mutations, you'd want collection, attack, or bar on your bees, and bar would go on your mythic bees because the ability rate is really helpful on mythic bees, especially with their unique abilities. On top of that, there's collection. You'd want that on vectors or fuzzy bees because they are the main collectors in your white hive. And attack can go on basically any other bee that has good attack because that does buff the star saw. And the 4 fields that you do want to grind in are coconut, dandelion, spider, and honestly, pineapple. I was thinking about sunflower, but sunflower isn't that good for white hives at all, so don't go grinding sunflower. But anyways, pineapple would be your best bet if you have a really good buff from your moon amulet. If not, coconut's probably better. And sometimes even with the moon amulet, coconut could be better because it has maxed out flowers. And on top of that, you can glitter it beforehand. Go in, hit the coconut, pretty sure coconut dispenser. Yes, the coconut dispenser. Get another boost up, and then you can glitter again right before you boost. So if you're confident that you're going to get a coconut boost, then you can do that and use glitter beforehand. And honestly, that's basically it for the best hives. Just go for coconut or pineapple if you do have that moon amulet buff. But now let's go on to the Supreme Star Amulet. So as always, you just head to the Star Hall, make sure you have 40 gifted types, and head up onto here. So you need 10 billion, and again, for every hive, this is the most expensive part. So if you don't have good RNG, you can waste so much honey on this Supreme Star Amulet. But anyways, you do want Gummy Saw for this White Hive. If you have anything else, White Hives just don't work well at all. So definitely try to roll for that Gummy Saw. And currently I do have Gummy Pop, which is awful. But on top of the Gummy Saw, you'd also want White Pollen, Bee Ability Rate, Critical Chance, and Pollen from Bees. So those are the main stats you'd want on your Supreme Star Amulet. And next, for your King Beetle Amulet, it's probably the easiest. Just have Bee Attack because there's no white fields that it buffs. Just look for some decent convert rate, which doesn't even matter that much, and Bee Attack. On top of that, Supreme and Amulet, I currently have a perfect one, but the ones you want are Critical Power, Bee Attack, Critical Chance, and then White Pollen along with Blue or Red. You'd probably want Blue, but even if you get Red Pollen, that's pretty good, because that doesn't make that much of a difference. But the best two stats I'd say on the Supreme and Amulet are Critical Power and Critical Chance, so you want to look for those, and then Bee Attack and the White Pollen. Finally, Moon Amulet over here, honestly, there's a lot of ways you can go with the Moon Amulet. So you can definitely have White Pollen and Instant Conversion, as I have on mine, or you can have the Pineapple Field Boost and the Instant Conversion, which is also really good. And it really depends. If you like grinding a pineapple and you seem to get a lot of pineapple boosts, definitely go for the pineapple boost on your Moon Amulet. And personally, I don't like grinding a pineapple, so I just went for the White Pollen. Stickbug Amulet, it's also just Bee Attack and Red Bee Attack, because Blue Bee Attack doesn't do that well. So just have Bee Attack, Red Bee Attack, White Pollen, and then Honey from Tokens. So Honey from Tokens is super important because it does buff your Gummy Star by a lot once it pops. So definitely get that Honey from Tokens. And then that's basically it for the Diamond Stick Amulet. And finally, I'm pretty sure it's the Supreme Shell Amulet. So this amulet's really important. Of course, you're going to get 11 to 15% goo when you do get a Supreme Shell Amulet. And on top of that, you can get White Pollen and goo conversion. So if you can get those two, that's a really good combination, along with at least 3 fields that are white. So that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching. See you guys next time.